Joined today, we've got several of our Affinity Chamber leaders with us today, talking a little bit about what they're seeing in their memberships. Joining us are Rocio Gonzalez with the Latin American Chamber of Commerce, Shantae Williams with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Black Chamber of Commerce, and Chad Turner with the Charlotte LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Thank you all for joining and what you're doing for and with your memberships. You're doing a lot of stuff together, but before we start and getting into that and some of the new things going on, talk a little bit about each of your respective organizations, just briefly, and what you're seeing and hearing from your members. Now, Rocio, I'll start with you and then go to Shantae.
Thank you, Kivan. Thanks for the alliance to do this. My name is Rocio Gonzalez, Executive Director of the Latin American Chamber of Commerce of Charlotte. We have been helping the community at large and focusing on strengthening the Latin American business community since 2001. We have close to 400, 350 members. When we say members, it's typically companies. So when you look at how many people we can reach out to, it's close to 3,000. And we have a list of about 7,000 different contacts that we kind of work together among support in the Mecklenburg County and the Charlotte metro region. But we specialize in providing access, networking events, contacts, and a lot of educational programs for businesses at all levels, startups or well-established businesses. We also provide events for supply diversity to connect small businesses with corporations, and very involved in advocating for small businesses and also providing support to all of our partner community, our community partners. So yes.
Great. Thank you, Ro. Shantae?
Thanks, Kiva. Dr. Shantae here, representing the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Black Chamber of Commerce. We've been around and in the community since about 2004, and our membership base is pretty broad. We help and serve everybody from business professionals all the way up to our larger Black businesses in the community. We are actually, prior to COVID, we were in the middle of a shift where we were moving away from programming and more to direct funding. So making sure that we can pull in dollars that will help support our businesses, whether that's providing some working capital or some grants to help them get started. And then for our business professionals, helping them secure the certification fees and those things to help them move along on their career path. Since COVID, the COVID crisis has emerged, our mailing list has actually jumped from about 8,000 people monthly to somewhere around 17,000, which tells me that we've probably pulled on a lot of business professionals and solopreneurs trying to navigate this process.
Wonderful. Congratulations on that shift. Thank you for that. Chad?
Hey, my name is Chad Turner, and I'm the president of the Charlotte LGBT Chamber of Commerce. We were founded in 1992 as a safe space for LGBTQ-owned businesses and also professionals to network. Currently, we serve about 300 to 350 members, and we have about 22 corporate partners that we work with in the community. We too were in the middle of a shift. Currently, and COVID threw that offline. We were actually moving to more of a regional model and working with our surrounding counties and some upper state counties from South Carolina. Last year, we certified 20% of the nation's LGBT-owned businesses, the numbers that came in last year. And so Charlotte is one of the largest areas for LGBTQ-owned business enterprises, in which businesses like Sunoco, Bank of America, Wells Fargo tap to give LGBTQ dollars. We're a typical chamber in the fact that we do provide programming, we provide educational opportunities, access to funding, but we also have a large professional base as well that are members of the business resource groups and employee resource groups through large companies like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, even smaller entities like Ally. We are a 30-year-old organization that continues to support equity for our LGBTQ-owned businesses, but we also have a base of about 30% that is straight ally business owners as well.
Wonderful. Thank you all for that and for being here. Yeah, and we'll get to that. Certainly want to hear more about what you hear from your members. But one of the things I'd like for everybody to know is the partnership, the working partnership between the three organizations. And I think you've probably got a couple of more. So Shante, could you talk about the working relationship between the chambers represented here and any others that might not be on the interview?
Yeah, well, I think over the last few weeks, but certainly over the last few years, we've seen that we all represent specific constituencies that have a lot of overlap and that need and should do business together, but also have some of the same problems and issues. And us working together helps us have a stronger voice. And I would say, really, as we move forward, we're recognizing that in order for us to really speak for our small businesses, our business professionals, our solopreneurs, and even our startups, we needed to work together. Definitely big thanks to Chad for, coalescing the group and really saying, hey, it's time to galvanize. And then I don't think we were able to get somebody from the Asian American Chamber on this particular call, but they're also pulling in the fight and getting resources to a similar constituency.
That is exceptional. Thank you all for doing that. And that leads us right into the conversation. Obviously, COVID has impacted everybody, but none more severely than the small business, solo entrepreneur, micro business. And so I think that's one thing that you've all united around that particular topic. So I want to spend just a few minutes talking. What are you hearing from your members? What are they experiencing? I think we hear the big picture, but my guess is you're getting very up close and personal with your members about what they're experiencing. So Rocio, could you share a little bit about what you all are hearing from your members, and I'll go around the horn.
Yes, from the Latin American Chamber of Commerce point of view, our members were kind of caught in between the fact that several of those businesses were required to close, and many of the businesses were also considered essential business. So they were trying to figure out who's going to remain providing service, who's not. What is the extent of what we're going to do, and then they were caught in a matter of now we have employees that we're going to have to let go. Will they be able to qualify for unemployment? What happens when we go back? Are we going to be able to rehire them? We also had small businesses that are considered essential business in the catering business, in the restaurant business, in the janitorial construction. They are all required to stay, to continue to provide their service. So how can we support them in this time of the stay-at-home ordinance? So there's a lot of conversation in regards to how can we continue, how can we have access to funds. It's very difficult for a micro business that is either closing their shop and trying to figure out how to make things work, or they have to stay open to navigate through these SBA programs and all of this different documentation. So we're here to help. We're here to provide a lot of information. We have kind of also the burden and the responsibility to ensure that a lot of the information that is shared is also shared in language. So sometimes our constituency and very well-established business owners that have been in this area for 15, 20 years, it's taking maybe 24 to 48 hours for them to become aware of opportunities and to finally get the information so that they can fully understand that, because it's in Spanish. So each one of our organizations has had a lot of feedback and concerns from our members. Mm-hmm. And I think we were in conversations with Chad before. Chad, if you want to add up also how difficult it is to help small business and the individuals, the self-employed, the 1099s. A lot of them are having a very big difficulty accessing some of these resources.
Yeah, we have a lot of solopreneurs and gig workers and vendors when you shut down a business, that not only affects the business, which may be a sole proprietor and their employees, but the vendors that service that business. It's sort of a web, and it keeps building out. And that's what we're learning through the hotline and through our calls, is it disproportionately affects the communities of color, and the communities that are immigrant communities, because a lot of the gig workers and a lot of the sole proprietors and those individuals that own the 50 and under, or the 15 and under, or even the 1 and under businesses, that is the ones that are getting hit hard, because they can't apply for unemployment until April the 25th. We were just notified, but they're 4 weeks into this disaster. The SBA does not have a good system for translating the packages that they have over into a language that's understandable, and it takes hours to do that and to get access. The marketing is not geared toward that particular community, and we're just seeing that the reason why we see people like me, that look like me, access these loans and these grants faster is because they have no barriers. They can go straight to it. They have access. And we're seeing the other groups disproportionately affected, and they're last in line, which means the money 9 times out of 10 is already dried up, or there's further hurdles for them. It's kind of like going to the DMV and being sent back home because you forgot a piece of paper that you needed for that driver's license, but yet the guy that was in front of you was prepared, so he got his driver's license. So you're taking another 2 or 3 hours that 16 or 17 more applications could have came in front of you, and so you lose that opportunity.
Thank you for that. And so Mecklenburg County Commission approved 2 really significant loan funds for small business and micro business. How do you react to that, and how do you think that's going to be of help to your members and the conversation we just had?
Yeah, I'll start off.
Shante.
Yeah, just by saying a lot of our businesses came into this situation undercapitalized and underinvested in. And so they have found themselves in a consistent bootstrapping their way through business for the last 2, 3, 5, 10 years. And so these loans in particular could act as a real important stopgap measure to help them with working capital, to help them with keeping their employees on the payroll. Also with just, covering those rental expenses, because even if there are halts and evictions and the like, or, some sort of forbearance in rent, they're going to have to catch up on these payments on the back end. So putting them in further debt is also not a good situation. Our greatest hope as we evaluate these 2 loan programs is really, how can we help them navigate through the system quickly, get the cash in their hands very quickly, as well as making sure that the responsibilities of, say, paperwork and qualification don't immediately exclude them. So one of the things that I think is important is credit worthiness, maybe being a little more flexible. Also thinking about things like personal guarantees or things like that could really complicate the picture for many businesses. So we're hoping that this money is able to be deployed quickly, but also that it is allowing the flexibility for our particular types of entrepreneurs.
Wonderful. Well, so critical in all of this, particularly for the small business, is the technical support and being able to have that go-to resource to ask and answer questions. So that is so critical. And Chad, you might talk a little bit about SupportCLT before we wrap up, because that's a critical part, and one, again, of you all coming together, but also providing that one-stop point of connection to get the resources you need and information that you need.
So when Shante and Rocio and Dr. Chin and I all were working together, I think it's now 2 or 3 weeks ago, we submitted our first letter to the City Council and the County Commission. We noticed that phones weren't being answered, emails were going unanswered. Everybody was in emergency mode, but we seen what was coming, and that was 2 or 3 weeks ago. There's still, Department of Employment and Security is not answering the phone. You have to get on at 3 a.m. in the morning to be able to access the website properly and not have it shut down. Checks are behind. There's just a lot of non-response. And so to that, we were discussing back and forth, and what was birthed out of that was we funded, along with a tech company here in Charlotte, just to create a one-stop shop that has all of the links, and we test those links every morning to make sure there's no mistakes and that they're still viable and that the loans haven't run out, and we take down the ones that aren't eligible. But it's not an LGBTQ website. It's not a Latin website. It's not a Black website. It is a general information site that everybody can go to, and they can access information even from Novant, the county government, the state government. Like today, you'll see information go up there today because car inspections are now suspended in lieu of this, and so people don't have to get their car inspected. But the SupportCLT is seeing about anywhere between 400 and 780 unique hits every day. And what we're noticing, and I reached out to Rocio yesterday, and we discussed, how do we translate this and get this into Spanish? And so what we're doing right now is procuring the documents that are already translated in Spanish properly, and we're going to link those as PDFs to the site because there's some issues with Google translating, and it doesn't give proper grammar, or it's not understandable. And so in discussing that with Rocio, what we're going to do is actually get the actual documents on there so they can be printed off or can be accessed and downloaded. But it has become a resource. There's 50 to 60 calls by 1 o'clock every day, and by the afternoon we're in the hundreds. We have various people that are volunteering from different companies and corporations just to answer those calls, and they're not giving legal advice or financial advice or mental health advice or health advice. They're literally just connecting you to which thing you need and then pushing the information out. And so it's actually a live voice, which is not what we're getting right now.
Yeah. So SupportCLT.com.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ro, go ahead.
I just would like to add that our small businesses are overwhelmed, and it's very difficult for them to filter through this information and make sense of all of these emails that are going back and forth. So SupportCLT has been that bank of information that now we can send them there, and they'll be able to clearly identify what is relevant for them that specific day. So it's a very good tool to be informed. Mm-hmm.
Well, again, I can't thank you guys enough for your partnership, your leadership, and what you're doing to support the regional economy. Sometimes we always say small business is the backbone of our economy, but now I think we really see how vital and critical small businesses are, and I just want to personally thank you on behalf of the Alliance for what you're doing. So Rocio Gonzalez, Latin American Chamber, Shantae Williams, Charlotte Mecklenburg Black Chamber of Commerce, and Chad Turner, Charlotte LGBT Chamber. Thank you all, and we'll probably do a follow-up. Want to keep up with what's going on and looking for ways that we can support as well. So thank you. Stay healthy.